Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Jessica Clemons, and this is a breakdown of Season 4, Episode 4 of The Boys. That 3-episode premiere left us with a crazed Homelander, a very, very sad Ryan, and Sage's diabolical plan and strategy to get Soups recognized by Victoria Newman and Robert Singer. This episode reveals also too much, and we'll get into the boys' past lives, how much longer Butcher has to live, and Hughie's dad maybe becoming a zombie. But before we get into that showdown, a quick reminder to check out nerdride.shop, where you can always find the latest and greatest in New Rockstars merch. You can find our Deadpool and Wolverine merch, but more importantly, you can find our Star Wars merch. I'm wearing it right now. I really like this shirt. It's actually very cool. And me, as a Star Wars fan, but like not as big as everybody else here in New Rockstars, I can name off a couple of these helmets. How many helmets can you name off? There's more at the bottom. You just can't see it. You gotta get the shirt yourself. Go to nerdride.shop to get this shirt. Back into the breakdown. This episode is titled Wisdom of the Ages and is named after the boys Highland Laddie issue number 5. This is a spin-off comic series all about Hughie, his backstory, and his growing up. This episode begins with some different concept art for Homelander dated to 1987. Homelander was born in 1981, making him about like 5 or 6 around the time of this concept art. We see photos of Marty, who is now the assistant director, and Frank working in the lab. The paper to the left is just a lot of little nonsense. We see newspaper clipping headline for Nervous System Mystery Revealed by Greg Gilmore. Text for that article is also a little bit of just nonsense, but Greg Gilmore is one of the first assistant art directors for graphics on the show. Also, here is a memo from Barbara Finley, who we'll meet later in the episode. She's the director of this Vought lab facility. The subject is Odessa, and the memo reads, Vought headquarters would like to remind everyone involved in Project Odessa that this is a high security project of the strictest confidence. This memo basically summarizes and explains how you're not allowed to share any information regarding the project, and everyone has signed an NDA that can't be broken. But it can be broken. You just gotta deal with the consequences afterwards. Project Odessa was also allegedly the American code name created in 1946 to cover Nazi underground escape plans made at the end of World War II. And this all kind of makes sense for the boys because Vought was founded by a Nazi. They all start to panic when the security cameras go out, and the fact that Homelander went in there, killed Phil and the other security guards above, and knocked out all the security cameras should immediately tell everyone they're about to die behind whatever breach they think this is. Homelander arrives in the elevator, and clearly he means well. He's brought a medium sheet Fudgy the Whale ice cream cake from Carvel. This is a very popular joint in New York, and we maybe have like 1 or 2 in California. So this is clearly the location Homelander has been repressing and thinking about a lot lately, from the trailer and the montage nightmare visions we got in the first episode of The Red Door. We establish here that Homelander does not want to be called John, especially by these people.
John? Homelander.
In a photo with young Homelander, we see a young Barbara, who is the woman we saw from behind leading young Homelander to the Red Door in Homelander's Nightmare in episode 1. There's also a young Marty, Frank, and a third person. Maybe this is a young Vogelbaum that helped created Homelander. Newman exploded his head in season 2 just before he testified in front of Congress. Butcher's murderous worm travels up his spine, causing him to collapse and hit his face on the faucet of the shower, and this scene is brutal. The scream I scrumped at this scene. So Hughie Sr. is essentially brain dead, and before you can even guess it, it's pretty obvious Hughie's gonna give his dad Compound V. Initially at the beginning, we read an article by Greg Gilmore titled Nervous System Mystery Revealed. And I'm no doctor, but when you're brain dead, it's the loss of all brain functions, right? Correct? Okay, perfect. The nervous system sends messages between your brain and your body, so why would that lab worker and Vought have that article just strung up in front of everything? Probably because the nervous system mystery lies in Vought medicine repairing it, hence it'll cure someone that's brain dead, which is why Hughie's gonna be gunning for that Compound V. However, this is all dangerous because from the trailer footage, we saw someone in a hospital gown trailing blood behind them, and I think this is probably Hughie Sr. because there's complications behind giving someone who's dead Compound V. In the comics, Lamplighter, along with Blarney Cock, came back after death, resurrected by Compound V. It basically turns you into a super zombie, and I theorize this situation would have happened to Black Noir, but it could be happening right now to Hughie Sr. We get a commercial for V52 Expo, a play on D23. The Walt Disney Company was founded in 1923, so I think they're saying Vought started in 1952, which would track with the US bringing over Frederick Vought after World War II to continue his development of Compound V. Also, this is the year Liberty, aka Stormfront and Soldier Boy, founded Herogasm. At V52, you can meet Sister Sage, Homelander, Firecracker, Adam Bork. Why would you want to meet him? A-Train, and he's getting very shit billed. He's at the bottom right. No one's gonna see him. And Sam and Kate from Gen V. They are both listed as the Guardians of Goldokin, and they also will feature the sneak peek of training A-Train. I also love that in the background we see people just cosplaying different suits like Lamplighter. Like, why would you want to dress up as him? He's kind of boring. We get a commercial for Tech Night Show The Whole Truth. We saw this back in Gen V. It teases an episode of Goldokin, as well as points out the 4 students that have disappeared into a dark hole. God, I hate Tech Night. Let us remember that Tech Night has an addiction to sticking his in things with a hole, so that's where this whole bit comes from in the first place. You can also watch this on VOT Plus, a play off Disney Plus again, and this is our streaming platform that features loads of stuff. In the intro for his show, they have what seems like random dates and causes. 2019 says missing, and this was during the first season of The Boys, so I assume it's talking about the missing translucent that they kidnapped. 2021 says homicide. Now, not much is done in 2021 as season 2 is covered in 2020, but as Tech Knight is one to observe instantly, it could be in regards to Stormfront, who in 2020 was on the 7 but killed herself by 2022. He could have assumed something shady was going on with Vought with her disappearance in 2021. 2022 says homicide, which again could be Tech Knight believing someone killed Stormfront. This is also the year Homelander forces that girl to jump, committing suicide. 2023 says missing, and this is when the events of Gen V all take place, where Tech Knight was all in everyone's business and children basically went missing at Godolkin, so I could see this reflecting that date. They show us footage from Gen V, including when Golden Boy blew himself up, showing his students Marie, Jordan, Emma, and Andre. It says, have seemingly vanished into a dark gaping hole, and thank God someone changes the channel. Then we have the Cameron Coleman hour, where he covers Singer's ratings that are dipping. Starlight and Singer make a deal where Starlight will put on the suit and go back to using Starlight and her privilege as a suit if Singer agrees to take down Vought once and for all. Back with Frenchie, he and Colin are listening to Ray Charles' Crying Time album released in 1966. Frenchie, like a weirdo, asks Colin about his family he once had that he killed. This is when we learn Colin's mom was a judge who was making an example of little Nina, Frenchie's employer, who we met last season. Frenchie killed everyone but Colin because he was hiding. And I love that this season we explore the fact that our heroes are not all heroes. They all have shitty past, but maybe our past don't define who we are today. I'm trying to make good of a bad situation. So Firecracker's show is shooting directly across the street from Starlight's HQ. Sister Sage is giving us a behind the scenes look at the logistics of working for a huge company like this, and it is disgusting, but I love it. It brings diabolical insight into how control begins with what you have viewing access to. VOT Plus, which is their high functioning streaming platform, along with VOT News Network, VNN, will all be featuring Firecracker's show today. They have troll farms leading anti-Starlight agendas online using hashtags like arrogant white feminism, and it's working. Some of the other hashtags that they're tracking are your feelings, spill that tea, and VOT Pod Challenge, surely a play off the Tide Pod Challenge, and I wonder who's doing it. The Deep wants fried pickles from Flavor Town. This is an actual Guy Fieri restaurant, and we'll see their logo at the end of this episode when the Deep finally gets what he wants. Ew. The Deep tells Sister Sage that he could get into a Flounder Pounder special. God, I hate him! This show makes me hate and love Chase Crawford. I've never been so conflicted in my life. Also, Firecracker says this.
You know, when I first met you, I thought you were kind of uppity, but you're one of the good ones.
Damn, why is she even on the 7? I also don't like that Sage mentions that they're new, they have to look out for each other. She's gunning to be like the new Stan Edgar. I'm gonna bet my life on it. No, not my life. I'll bet like 50 bucks. Firecracker says she's gonna be broadcasting for 6 hours, which, you know, I'd rather eat a bed of rusty nails found at the bottom of the Titanic, post-sinking. I'm not ever gonna listen to her talk for 6 hours. That's insane. And then Frenchie says this.
Firecracker celebrity friends are arriving. I saw John Voight.
John Voight is, of course, a piece of shit who supports Trump, and they're probably making fun of the fact that celebs that support him aren't really celebs, just washed up nobodies. Speaking of nobodies, Firecracker mentions later that Kanye West would also be appearing on the show, and as we know, Kanye has become one of the most problematic celebrities within the last, honestly, 5 years, and has openly supported Donald Trump as well. Mother's Milk is wearing a Big Pun shirt. He was a rapper who died in 2000, and I also love how immediately Butcher knows there's something fishy between Starlight and Firecracker, but of course she doesn't want it to get out what she's done, because that would make her look like a horrible person. Back with this psychopath, Homelander starts fucking with Frank first, mentioning how he would put him in this oven room to test the temperature that young Homelander could tolerate, reminding us that no matter how awful Homelander is, these normal scientists help mold him into this monster. Homelander then reveals that even though his skin didn't char, it still really hurt, to the point that he would cry as his tears sizzled away, and this is truly heartbreaking, and this story is intercut with quick shots of the oven room from Homelander's memory. Frank says,
I was just doing my job.
Similar to the I was just following orders or superior orders defense used most infamously at the Nuremberg trials of former Nazis following World War II. But a stark reminder that normal people can be driven to perform heinous acts when they think their responsibility is removed from them. Frank's hand on the glass before he dies is like some f***ed up version of Lost, Not Penny's boat. We're now at a shipping yard, and Hughie tricked Kimiko into assisting him as the muscle. Hughie's wearing a shirt for the band. A-Train asks, where's the talking goatee with the gold chains? And Mother's Milk doesn't have a goatee this season, just a mustache. So what is he referring to? I don't know if this is production and the way that they shot, or they just didn't update the script, or maybe he did just recognize him as the man with the goatee forever. But I know that he saw him at that track, and he didn't have a goatee. So I'm flagging this because I need to know why he mentioned this. I know I spend a lot of time picking apart movies and TV shows, but I also spend a lot of time picking apart current events. There's a lot to digest. Multiple wars, wars, humanitarian crises, an election coming up, how you vote this year could have a major impact, so it's more important than ever to be informed. Weapons and Warfare from Straight Arrow News is a weekly show hosted by Ryan Robertson that helps you keep up to date on America's entanglements in diplomacy, warfare, foreign policy, and more. From boot camp to boots on the ground, host Ryan Robertson provides an in-depth coverage of international armed conflicts and the latest technological developments in weaponry worldwide. Weapons and Warfare helps you be better informed, better engaged, and be a better global citizen. Weapons and Warfare have new episodes every Wednesday that you can watch on san.com/NRS. Once again, catch new episodes of Weapons and Warfare every Wednesday hosted by Ryan Robertson at san.com/NRS. The truck behind A-Train says Thompson and Garand. Nothing really came up related to this in the comics, but the Thompson machine gun, aka the Tommy gun, and the M1 Garand were infamous weapons used by the US military. The Thompson in World War I and World War II, and the M1 in World War II and Korea. Firecracker and the Deep are singing Up Where We Belong, which is famous from An Officer and a Gentleman, sung by Joe Cocker and Jennifer Warnes, but according to Wikipedia, there was a re-recorded religious version of the song done in 1984 by a gospel duo that played on the Christian radio, so I wonder which version this one is. I also like how the car horn blares just as they're about to hit the word hi. And peep that fire extinguisher right now, we're gonna come back later to it. Then we get this little exchange.
Not a word about that 50 grand to Mallory.
Straight up web weaver stinky spider. Heroin enemas don't come cheap.
And this is another mention of Web Weaver, who we learned from the news crawl in episode 1. He just got out of rehab, saying this time it's different. Guess he's already relapsed. I didn't mean to laugh. It's just Web Weaver. Come on, baby, you can do it. He was also referencing the video game Butcher and Ryan were playing in episode 3, and we're definitely gonna see him this season. We know we are. We get more Becca visions, but I love that Butcher finally admits he needs help. Also, this question is huge. Mother's Milk asks, what if Ryan doesn't want to go with me? Because there's a world where he doesn't want to go and he wants to stay with Homelander, and then he'll just become a monster. And what can that mean for the final season? Firecracker says,
You're those motherfuckers that killed my friend.
poor Splinter getting friend zoned even in the afterlife. Actually, we shouldn't feel bad for him. He kind of sucked and he was weird. Giving yourself head in a sauna at a convention is the most insane thing. The tweet that's about to be posted exploring Firecracker's past will be sent via Butcher on a mysterious account with his dog Terror as the photo, and it's not hard to trail this one back to Butcher. Then we get the return of Ezekiel, who we last saw in season 1 at the Capes for Christ convention. Firecracker gets away with pleading forgiveness because it's always easier that way. Then she throws Starlight under the bus, disclosing during her first save, she accidentally blinded a mother, which makes her look like a monster to some people. Firecracker has a Confederate flag also on her keychain, another dog whistle to how shitty of a personality she is. A-Train arrives at Homelander's penthouse for Compound V, and we saw this scene in the trailer, and we all thought it was like his hair, we thought it was gonna be another clone, and instead it was just Homelander's pubes. Eric Kripke knew what he was doing when he teased us with this shot in the trailer. A-Train finds a hidden bookshelf of milk, and I don't think this is Madeline Stillwell's breast milk, because even in like a deep freezer, breast milk can only last up to a year. However, you can purchase breast milk from lactating women, and I'm sure Homelander has found a way to just do that. Also, we've seen Homelander drink unpasteurized cow milk before, so I don't think this is like past him. Not that this drawer of V should be full, but there does seem to be several vials missing. Will this be a plot point later? Brandon has a theory that Homelander is slipping Ryan extra V to make him even stronger, or Homelander is taking it himself because he's worried about his aging, and I believe both of these things. It turns out Ashley has been leaving floaters in Homelander's toilet, and Ashley has spotted A-Train stealing V, so it looks like these two have a shared no snitching friendship now. Back with the Maniac, we see John, Homelander's growth chart on the wall. Starting from the oldest entry, it reads, so fast, John 12 years old, 1 month, 60.5 inches, 5 feet. John 12.5 years, 61.5. John at 13 years, 5'2", 5'3". John at 14 years, you get the picture. They're measuring how big he's getting. But I do like at the end, instead of John, they cross it out and it says Homelander 16 years, because he's now a he probably did that himself. And they're too afraid to fight him, because who would want to fight a teenage soup that's crazy? This is when we get this horrible scene. A scene I freaking hate to watch and can't really show you on YouTube because, again, this show is for adults. I can assure you there's nothing really big that happens here, just an old man doing gross things. So excuse me while I move on from this little part. Kimiko starts murdering these men, and unfortunately Kimiko's literally split in half, and it must take some time to reheal from that. Hughie holds it down though on his own, going 1v1, and I'm very proud of him. But Hughie always ends up covered in blood at least once in a season, and I think this is that one time. This is a pretty brutal in-your-face kill for Hughie, who hasn't killed too many people in the run of the series compared to others, so this might add to his stress this season. So this whole season is about everyone's past sins. Frenchie killing the dude's family, Starlight blinding that woman and starting to rumor about Firecracker, and Kimiko and what she did here, luring the poor girl into the shining light. Inside Firecracker's trailer, we find a small bedazzled pistol purse. Tacky. Inside, Frenchie finds metoclopramide. Also, her her name is Misty Tucker. According to Google, metoclopramide is used to treat symptoms of slow stomach emptying, gastroparesis, and patients with diabetes. It also can be used to treat nausea, vomiting, and heartburn, and relieve a feeling of fullness after meals and loss of appetite. This could imply that Firecracker is using this as a dietary supplement, or our girl's pregnant and is using it to relieve her morning sickness. Some have been known to use this as an anti-sickness medicine during pregnancy. It can also help increase the milk production in women. And I don't know if she start lactating that quickly, but she could be pregnant for Homelander, and she could be supplying him with the milk that we saw earlier, because remember, she said she would do anything for him. Firecracker discloses Starlight's medical records and reveals that she had an abortion, which is insane to reveal. And I can't say I hate them fighting because I f***ing love Starlight whooping that ass. I was like, get that Sister Sage even said, how's uppity for that, cracker? I love that the ass whooping was planned. I wanted this, I liked it. My vote still goes to Starlight. They set up this fire extinguisher bit earlier in the episode. They linger on a shot of the fire extinguisher Butcher used to knock out the guard, showing it is full of liquid nitrogen. Usually fire extinguishers are full of carbon dioxide or a dry chemical like monoammonium phosphate or sodium bicarbonate to extinguish a fire. Sometimes there's some nitrogen in an extinguisher, but not usually liquid nitrogen, because that would be an overkill and probably dangerous for anyone using the extinguisher. Luckily, Moe's Milk can stop Starlight from killing Firecracker. But some comments on the Starlight ass whooping live stream from truthbomb.boy with 1.7 million people watching say, no, with a crying face emoji. Wow, Starlight kicked ass. So fake, staged, lost so much respect for her. Biggest truth bomb ever. Sold on that fight, yo. Back with Butcher and Ezekiel, it all goes dark. We hear a scream and Ezekiel splattered all over the trailer. So now we can confidently say Ezekiel is officially dead right now. But who did it? Newman blows heads, not bodies, so we don't know yet. We learn that Barbara paid a runaway woman to carry Homelander to term, and Homelander killed her, lasering himself out of her stomach from the inside out, killing nurses and doctors in the room. Barbara breaks down his need for approval, let them cook up therapists that kept him obedient. Psychologically, f***ed this boy up since birth and trained him to be a psychopath. Frenchie has a meltdown with Colin and finally reveals he's the one who killed his family by showing him his ankle. And honestly, more monstrous, he got Colin to fall in love with him after the fact. And that's horrible, and Colin acts appropriately. Back at Vought, Sage is being sweet on the deep. There's a Contour magazine with Maeve on the cover, and it must be a very old magazine. Sage then reveals what that metal cylinder tube was, and it's for her lobotomy. She tells Deep how everyone's brain grows until they're about 25, but hers never stops growing. Though she can die, if you stab her in the brain, it just grows back. And I love Chase Crawford as the Deep. It's a very complicated relationship between me. I think he's really good. I hate the Deep, but he's willing to do this for anal. While watching Kim Kardashian's sex tape. Who is he? Is someone gonna match my freak? Is someone gonna match my nasty? I got stamina. They say I'm an athlete. They are both weirdos. Honestly, they deserve each other at this point. I don't care. Match made in heaven. Little fucking freaks. Then this cues two live crews face down, ass up, because what better song to play when we're looking at Guy Fieri's restaurant signature? This Starlight scene makes me so sad. I started crying. My girl, it's none of their business but your own. You do what you need to do. It's your body, your choice. This scene was really hard to watch. I just want everybody to love Starlight. And if the episode couldn't get worse, Singer calls to cut ties with Starlight, and she's right. She's different in the public eye now, and it's gonna be hard to get everyone back. A-Train delivers the V to Hughie, and Hughie finally admits that they're on good terms. He no longer will be trapping A-Train into his messes. Then out of the shadows like Batman comes Butcher, who criticizes Hughie for wanting to give V to his father, but reveals he took Compound V from Frenchie's stash 4 months ago. So this could have been residual powers or newfound powers Butcher got when it made Ezekiel explode in his trailer. We see the blue from the Compound V move up his father's tubing, and Hughie Sr.'s eyes open. Back with the Psycho McGee, we see the scene from the room covered in blood that we got in the trailer. Homelander killed all the scientists but left Barbara to deal with it. And I don't know what any of this solved for his mental health, but he looks happy. And then we close with Up Where We Belong, and Chase Crawford is really breaking it down here. And that's it for my breakdown on episode 4. Check in next week for episode 5, and check out the break room where we'll be covering the boys after show. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Lulu_Clemons. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to New Rockstars for my analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.